Hey, this is Wolf Hoffmann from Accept, and it's the metal teddy bear experience with Chris.
And welcome back to the Metal Teddy Bear Experience here on 90.3 WMSC over Montclair. This is your host, Chris, and I have a very special guest on the line. I have Wolf Hoffmann, the guitarist of Accept. What's up, man? How you doing today?
Hey, nice to be with you. How are things going?
Well, we just actually we're based out of New Jersey, and we had 22 inches of snow. So
No,
yeah, it was basically
nasty.
you couldn't see the tires on your car. Like it was bad. Where are you calling in from right now?
Florida, nice and sunny. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Sorry,
It's all
sorry.
good. It's all good. I mean, maybe I'll go to Florida next week or something to get rid of this cold.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. Well, it is actually cool here, but it's still sunny and kind of nice, you know.
And you don't have to shovel.
Exactly. No snow here, baby.
Oh man, but yeah. So speaking about Accept, you guys put out a brand new record, "Too Mean to Die," January 29th. How excited are you for this record?
Super excited, of course. I mean, it's been in the can for a few months now because, I mean, we delivered it last fall to the label. And, you know, with Christmas time and COVID and Brexit, it took some time for this thing to actually be ready for release. We had some delays or short delays because of it. But here it is, finally available in the stores or wherever people buy nowadays albums. I don't even know anymore, but it's available for everybody to enjoy.
And this is your 16th studio album. I mean, do you guys realize, like, when you're going in, you're like, oh, here's another album, here we go? Is it just like a brand new start, like a fresh new take?
No, each album is sort of a chapter in my life, to be honest. It's crazy, but it's a huge deal to have a new album out. It's not just, oh, there's another album. You know what? It's actually a big deal to work on something like that for so long, and then I can actually sort of recount my life according to the albums. You know, when I think back of, I don't know, 84, I think of Balls to the Wall, 85, Metal Heart, and these things are like big building blocks of my life. And here's another one.
It's true too, because the people write how they feel, and usually you feel from what's going on around you. So that's why a lot of people right
Hmm.
now said there's going to be a lot of like very emotional records with this whole COVID situation and quarantine, because a lot of people had loved ones die. Some people are just like really depressed because
Sure.
they're alone. So like music's going to be really interesting coming out. It's going to be really heartfelt.
Yeah, and because of that, we decided not to do that. We were thinking there's going to be this flood of, you know, emotional and whatever songs that are dealing with COVID and I don't know, this whole story of, you know, Corona. That we said, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're just going to do an in-your-face metal album, and with a little bit of humor. We're going to call it "Too Mean to Die." It kind of reflects the times that we live in, but it's not really sort of a Corona-related album at all. It's just a bunch of metal songs. It's just a bunch of stuff we came up with. That's all, and it's dealing with subjects all over the board, but it's not in any way, shape, or form related to COVID whatsoever.
Well, I like that you mentioned that you guys want to have fun with it too, because like "Too Mean to Die," I was kind of curious about why you guys called it that. You have tracks like "Zombie Apocalypse" and "Sucks to Be You." I was like, they're having fun with this record.
Well, yeah. I mean, each song deals with slightly other stuff, but you know, it's all about metal. It's all about a bit of fun, and I think it's going to serve the purpose more than, you know, an type of album. We are the world. We're going to get through this. Whatever. I mean, don't want to knock it. Whoever wants to do that is fine. But in this day in our career and stuff, we felt like let's not even mention it. Besides, we already did a song a few years back that's called Pandemic, and you know, so we've said everything that can be said about this
Of course.
circumstance.
So which track to you on the record? I know you have 11 tracks right now. Which one really stood out to
Hmm.
you? Which one did you really connect with?
All of them, or else I wouldn't have written them. I mean, of course, but you know, I can tell you there's a lot of variety on this album. I mean, the first two tracks, for instance, are the opening tracks, straight in your face, hard hitting, riffing metal songs. Then the third song, Overnight Sensation, is a little more lighthearted and easier. Sort of probably a good live track, actually. And then we have a cool ballad, which is called The Best Is Yet to Come. Got a song with classical elements, which is Symphony of Pain. The last track on the album is an instrumental track, which is really cool and also based on some classical elements, because that's something that I've really enjoyed doing over the years. And again, I found some spots on this album where it made sense to do it. So yeah, there's a lot of variety here. That's what I've heard from a lot of fans that have heard it, and journalists, and they're pleasantly surprised by the freshness, the energy on this album, and the variety on it.
So the last album you guys put out was in 2017. Were you guys writing this for those like 4 years in between, or was this written
No.
a year?
Yeah, I took a few months to write most of the stuff, and I started in the fall of 2019, and then I started looking through all the stuff that I've gathered in last year in January with Andy Sneap, our producer, and then we started recording the first batch of songs in March. In the second batch in July. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's nice to just let the stuff simmer for a while and put it away so you don't have to think about it every day, and then come back to it with sort of fresh ears. And that's what I like to do sometimes when I get stuck with a song, or even when I don't get stuck. It's always nice to just put it away for a little while and come back to it with fresh ears, because that's the hardest thing in the songwriting process, is to be as objective as you can, because it's so easy to get caught up in this thing where you can't see the forest for the trees. You know what I mean? Because you're so close to everything that you think you don't know what to think anymore after a while.
Of course, and it's also hard when I don't know how you guys write, but I know some bands will write like 25 songs, maybe like 50 songs or something, and then try to narrow it down from there. Was there ever a time where you guys had like an overabundance of songs that you just had to cut off?
An overabundance of ideas usually, but it's really a long way from the first initial idea to the finished song. The songs usually go through so many revisions and adaptations and whatnot. They get changed around so many times that half the time we don't even bother finishing them all the way to the end if we don't think they're going to make the cut. And it's quite obvious which ones we focus on initially. So the answer is we don't really ever finish more than we need. Sometimes there's one or two leftovers that are strong, but maybe not quite strong enough, or we felt that didn't really fit the rest of the songs. So there's the occasional leftover stuff, but we never really have 20 songs from a session left over or something like that. That's not how we work.
For those like songs that you said like didn't make it, maybe one or two, would you ever put them out as singles or save them for a next record, or maybe even like a B-side?
Yeah, we've done that in the past. Like, for instance, we had a song a couple of years ago that was called Leipzig. And the only reason why that was actually from 2 albums ago, Blind Rage, I believe. It didn't fit the album. The vibe or whatever was so different from the rest of the songs. We didn't really think at the time it needed to be on the album. So there it was, left over, and it was a perfect single to be released in between albums, just to give the fans something new once in a while, just as a tie over until the next studio album comes along. And that's what we did.
Yeah, I always like when bands are able to put out singles just to keep the fans, 4 years in between albums, fans want that. They miss you, they want another song. When bands are able to put out a single or something like that, it makes us like, yeah, and then you go back to the old stuff too,
Sure. And in this case, it's been actually 4 years since our last studio release, which is sort of on the long side, because the last 10 years we've made 5 studio albums, and we always had another album every other year. So it's been time to come out with a new one, and that's why we decided to release it's one of the reasons why we decided to release the album now, even though we can't really tour on it. Just we didn't really feel like we wanted to wait much longer, and besides, we don't really know when the next touring can properly continue or start again. So we didn't really want to sit on this album and just have it go unused. you know.
And this is also the first album without bassist Peter Baltes. How was
Hmm.
writing without him? Was it like tough? Was he like a strong contributor when writing the album?
He usually was. He and I really have been the main songwriters in Accept for all these years, really going back to the '80s. But that didn't mean I didn't always write alone as well. I just felt it was sad, and I was a little bit heartbroken that he wasn't there, and kind of missed him. But that just meant that I have to do it. It's more on my shoulders. But luckily, our new bass player, Martin Motnick, came to the table and delivered a bunch of cool stuff that we ended up using. So I wasn't completely alone, which is great. And of course, I had Andy Sneap on board, the producer, and Mark Danilo, he writes the awesome lyrics. So it was as still a group effort in the end, but I definitely had more on my shoulders for sure.
Well, it's cool that you let him contribute because a lot of people don't let some bands don't let new members contribute. They just kind of make them like a session kind of guy, like, oh, you'll record it but you won't write. It's cool that you use his ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it helps to add, I don't know, different colors and flavors to the whole thing. Because if it didn't, it would be almost like a solo album, and I don't want that to be the case. I really wanted this as much as possible to be a band effort. But at the same time, not everybody is a songwriter. I mean, you have to realize that too. It's just something. Some guys are more inclined to do that sort of thing. Others are more players. You can't really say one is better than the other, or you can't even fault anybody for it. It's just whatever somebody feels inspired to do. But like I said, Martin was definitely interested and brought some awesome stuff, and we gladly used it.
Well, given your long time friendship with Peter, do you think like maybe you and him will collaborate on something, maybe an EP or a song or even an album?
Maybe. I don't know. It hasn't really I haven't come across it yet. And the sad reality is mostly as soon as somebody leaves the band, it's sort of out of sight, out of mind a little bit. It's because all of a sudden you have nothing to do with each other on a daily basis. So it's very often you don't see anybody after that. I mean, even other members who have left the band over the years, it's very rare that you even see them anymore. It's crazy. They don't usually show up to shows that we do, or there's nothing we ever do where we would meet.
Yeah, I hear that. Usually, people like you're doing Accept, they're doing their own thing. The only time you get to see each other is like if you're playing the same festival on a same stage.
Exactly. Yeah. So that could theoretically happen one day somewhere in this world, but so far it hasn't yet.
For anyone tuning in right now, you're listening to 90.3, The Metal Teddy Bear Experience, and I'm here with Wolf Hoffmann, the guitarist of Accept. So, I don't know if you remember this from last time, the random silly question segment. I asked 3 random questions. Last time I asked you your least favorite subject in school, ice cream cake versus a real cake, and what movie needs a sequel. So I got a new three questions for you. You ready to take part in it?
Oh, boy.
Last time it wasn't that bad.
Grudgingly, I will, because that's not my strongest point, But here we go. Let's try it. I'll give it I'm game. Let's try it.
All right.
See what happens.
Question number 1. What's your most prized possession?
Is a dog a possession? I mean, what's a possession? Then I guess if that's not a possession, then I would probably go with my flying V. That's a possession, I guess.
Yeah. No, everyone has
my
something
guitar.
else. Someone has like I gotten like my first guitar. I've gotten my first car. Someone said their first like jet ski or something. I was like, okay, whatever floats your boat. So for you, it would be your flying V.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Let's go with that.
All right. Question number 2. What was the first big purchase when you first got like your big check? What did you spend it on?
Probably a house, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my house. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a big purchase right there. It's funny when you ask this question, a lot of people have like different answers. Like to them, like a big purchase was buying like a video game console or like a guitar, like, that was my first big purchase. I spent like $1,000 on a guitar, There's all different things how your perspective is.
Yeah, and I mean, we've never been a band that had this one big event that turned everything around. I guess it's been such a gradual thing for us. I sometimes hear these stories from other guys that, the first album goes, quadruple, quintuple platinum, and all of a sudden they go from zero to a gazillion dollars. And of course, that's a different story. Then you can say, I bought my first mansion in Malibu or something, but we never had that. It's always been sort of a gradual thing. I can't even remember what my first big purchase might have been. You buy your first car and then another car. It's nothing seems really big at the time, to be honest. Maybe the first house, that's a big event for sure.
True that. And the last question, what's the smell of heaven? How do you imagine heaven smelling like?
Coffee. I'm a coffee freak.
There we go.
Good coffee. Yeah, man.
That's what I said. I said coffee. Smart choice.
And weirdly enough, have you ever noticed coffee never tastes as good as it smells? It always has this awesome smell, and then you drink it and you're slightly disappointed that it doesn't taste as good as it smells.
Yeah, I've had that. Like when you grind it yourself or whatever, and you're brewing it. Yes, it does. It smells better than it tastes.
Oh my god, it smells delicious, and you drink it and you go, I had higher hopes.
So does Accept have their own coffee, or are you going to put out your own coffee? You're going to collaborate with a brand of coffee?
Hell no. What else am I supposed to do? I write metal songs. I don't have time for this stuff. I can't just.
Gotcha.
No, sir. I consume it. I gladly consume it, and that's
it?
enough for me.
Okay, sweet.
Yes, sir.
All right, so that was the random silly question segment. I hope it wasn't that bad. It was. I thought it was.
No,
fun.
it wasn't bad at all, actually.
There we go. All right, so before I let you go, any upcoming plans with Accept? Maybe a live stream performance? You guys have some shows scheduled for the summer. What's coming up next for Accept?
No live streams, but plenty of shows that are scheduled. Right now, we've got some shows that actually in April in upstate New York, I think, so in the East Coast area somewhere that are scheduled. One in Chicago, and I'm hoping they're actually gonna happen. And then we have some festival shows all across Europe for the summer that are still on the books, and I'm hoping they will happen. But as things are going nowadays, it's not 100% certain, because nothing is 100% certain anymore. So we'll have to wait as we get closer to it. But we're definitely ready to rock whenever we can.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait for you guys to come around New York, New Jersey. Hopefully shows will happen like you said. Too Mean to Die came out January 29th. Awesome record, man, and it was a pleasure talking to you, Wolf. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Take care, my friend.